Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shirtless Plantain Show. This is the Manchester United edition. And no, Tommy's not here. There's a different Yoruba person. He doesn't support United, but I needed somebody else who can see the game differently than I can. I'm wearing red glasses because I have red tinted hate in my heart. So that's why I'm wearing red glasses.
That's not why. You're wearing those so you can ignore the red flags.
And there's also that too. But yeah, United got the ass handed to them at home by Liverpool again. I feel like this has been happening for like the last 4 years, and it's weird, man. It keeps happening over and over again.
It's really unusual. It's beginning to, this game is often marketed as the biggest game in England because these are the two most successful teams. But I think we've been at a stage where Liverpool have been good and United haven't been good for so long that whatever glamour or mystique was associated with this game has sort of faded for me personally. Like if you were a kid born after 2010, you don't give a fuck about this game. No. you care about city games, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. You're caring about Arsenal again. You care about Liverpool games. Like maybe even Chelsea games. But this particular fixture, it's mostly a Liverpool thing lately. We've had a lot of dramatic results in it too. Which is just unpleasant, and it says it doesn't say very good things about Erik Ten Hag's tactical acumen in big games, I would say.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate, and I've said this before, and I keep saying it. Football ebbs and flows, right? Like teams are good for a little bit, teams are bad for a little bit. There was a time where, Juventus ran the league, and now they're not. There was a time where Milan did their thing. There was a time where Arsenal was really good. Arsenal finally get back to that spot. The time when Liverpool didn't win any English titles for like almost 30-something years. They've won one. So United now are like in the weens and like they're in the woods, and they finally got a good structure in the board, but it's like that's not translated yet to the football pitch. No, and there's a lot of work to do on and off the pitch, but especially on the pitch. And the coach they have right now, I'm sorry, he does not put confidence in any United fan. I think if you're a United fan who still believes in Erik Ten Hag, either you're making money from the fact that he's that bad or you're just that delusional. It's probably a combination of both. So,
but I think people, if you look at some of the figures we've had in politics in recent years, you'll notice that a lot of people that support these characters are often like these characters. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying that to say that if you somehow think that Erik Ten Hag has a long-term future at United or just needs more backing or the players aren't running for him or whatever excuse or rationalization you have in your mind to absolve this man of blame, it's because you're just as delusional as he is. Because he's clearly delusional. He's a man that lacks self-awareness to an immense degree. Even worse for a club like United, he lacks charisma.
Yes.
I know the kids have sort of ruined aura and they've ruined charisma itself by turning into Riz, but this shit is important. Like, you can't run an organization like United with the level of charisma that Erik Ten Hag has. Like, if he was, I don't think I could even be friends with a nigga that dry, man. He's so boring and bland, and he just says these things with this false bravado. Like, we all know what you're doing, bro. We're not dumb.
We know exactly what you are. And, I said this on the main podcast, but I'll say it again. The way he dresses too. Like, if the menswear guy, I want the menswear guy to rate his outfits. That's what I want him to do.
Admit that shit, man.
Yeah.
Derek Guy. He'll give it a look.
I need Derek Guy to rate Erik Ten Hag's outfits. But it's not even that. It's just more so just like when you look at like the personalities of the coaches that have been very successful in the past of football, Jose Mourinho, we don't really like him that much here, but Jose Mourinho had the aura. Like, he was that guy. Arsene Wenger was just cool, man. Like, he was the coolest. Like, sorry, Alex Ferguson. He was a fucking mafia don. He did what he wanted to do.
He was Scottish.
Yeah. You look at Carlo, even at Milan, looking at Madrid, wherever Carlo was, Carlo is the guy. Pep, as bald as he is, Pep has aura. Like, Pep did something yesterday in the game that made me realize, these niggas love him. So KDB was drinking water in the 87th minute or 86, something like that. And Pep literally grabbed his face and kisses him and starts smiling. I was like, these guys really, really just want to die for each other. And it's just, you look at Erik Ten Hag, I feel like the players don't like him. I feel like the players like have a side group chat where they just talk shit about him. And
he's just not very likable, at least not from my perspective as compare him to someone like Arne. We've known him in England for all of 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I mean, between his interviews, his demeanor on the touchline, the way he handled the Trent situation a little last weekend, the guy has a certain gravitas about him. He has a certain aura about him that Ten Hag completely lacks. And this shit matters when you're hiring people. I mean, the Glazers, man, yeah, they fucked you guys in ways that I enjoy so much. Because
Yeah, I
I'm an
mean,
Arsenal fan. For those that don't know, I'm very much an Arsenal fan, which means that this is somewhat joyous for me. But as a football fan, it's frustrating to watch. A lot of the blame for today's disaster will go on Casemiro. And for me, he's the wrong scapegoat because we've known for a while that he's cooked. So I don't know what people expect from him anymore. He's gonna have these kind of games every so often, especially when you're playing him too frequently. Go on, Tosin.
even like Casemiro at Real Madrid, you saw he was weighing down. Like even Varane, you saw Varane was weighing down, and I think certain transfers explain exactly what the Glazers are. Like Casemiro, Mason Mount, Varane. Those are signings where you look at and you're just like, that's exactly how they run this club. Like, no offense to Casemiro and Varane, had amazing careers. But the point where they joined United, you could tell like those legs were gone. And you're seeing it week in and week out with Casemiro. Like, yes, Casemiro was the reason why Liverpool scored 2 goals today. Like, he literally gave up. There's a play in the 26th, 27th minute where Casemiro literally, he just stopped running. He kicked the ball away and he just turned around and I was just like, damn, you are true. Like, it was Gary Neville against West Brom levels. It was that bad where it was just like, yo, you're done. You're done. And
rough. Like, yeah, watching him like wave, from the floor, like wave at the referee, like, oh, can't you give me a foul? Like it was just really pathetic. And like Jimmy Carragher famously said last season, leave the football before it leaves you. Like the football left Casemiro a long time ago, but his contract is ridiculous, so he's going to be hard to move. But if United want to move the culture on, because you can't have a guy making that much money not contributing to the success of the club.
Yeah.
You just can't. That's bad for morale. Like every time you yell at a motherfucker that's broker than him, that's doing more than him, that motherfucker gonna be mad about that shit. They have to buy him out. They really do. They do. I don't even know that Saudi would be interested at this point because
they're not. Literally this summer, Saudi not won. Nobody wanted Casemiro this summer. Not MLS, not even the Brazilian league. He should go to India with Sadio Berahino.
Saido. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, but I do think it's a red herring because even the peak version of Casemiro, he'd be very good for United right now, but he would have to cover so much space in that midfield. It's so exposed in there. Like it's not compact at all.
You saw after the game, like you saw the passing graphs, right? Like you saw like how did you get to see that at all? Like
I did, but the main takeaway from me, I didn't really look at the I mean, we've been watching United do this shit for a minute now. Like this was all of last season. But the big takeaway from today's game for me was that United lost the ball 90 times during their build-up in this game. 90 times. So there are a lot of things wrong with this game. Like there's a lack of compactness. The build-up is shit. Like if that's the foundation, then it doesn't really matter if you buy 20 Joshua Xerxes. He ain't doing shit because he's not getting the ball in dangerous positions, So it's all a bit obvious. It was funny watching Arne Slot do a interview after the game, or I don't even know if it was before the game, but he kind of talked very plainly, and that's one of the things I appreciate about him. He's one of those managers, like, it's maybe the one thing I don't like about my manager, Arteta. He often acts as if tactical insights is this mind-blowing, and you hear his players say the same shit during interviews, like, oh, he changed my way of looking at football. It's like, nigga, it's fucking football, man. Like, whatever. Arne Slot is very casual about that shit, and he just states things plainly, and it's very easy to understand him when he talks about the game. And he was very clear about like, yes, United are going to press in a 4-4-2, but he said it very diplomatically. Like, I'm going to say it less diplomatically. They're pressing a 4-4-2, but there's a lack of intensity. They're not compact. It's easy to play through them, and that's the most dangerous way to attack them, to just play through them. Like, don't try to go over them or around them, just play through them, which is the area of the pitch that most managers design their presses to block. And the weird thing to me as an Arsenal fan, having watched games between my team and United, is that for some reason, Erik Ten Hag finds sense during those fixtures. He may not win the fixture, but he at least sets the team up in a manner that means that the team might be able to win because they're compact, they're hard to play against. We're not just playing through United for the most part in the fixtures against Arsenal. But in all these other big games, especially Liverpool, he's just over there like setting records for futility. and embarrassing the club. Like, I don't know, man. I can understand keeping him because you kind of feel as if you haven't finished the reboot. You don't have enough of the new players in yet. But when I look at the players you guys got this summer, it's very clear to me that Ten Hag had a hand in some of them because it's Dutch league niggas, Dutch niggas, De Ligt, Dutch, Mazraoui played in Holland, Xerxes, Dutch, and that for me is the bigger disaster of keeping Ten Hag. The fact that he's going to leave you guys stuck with, and I mostly rate these players, but I don't think these are not the guys. These are not the guys to get United back to what United used to be. And after Ten Hag is gone, y'all are going to be stuck with a bunch of these players that are good, but not quite elite.
I think it's actually this team can finish top 4. I think that the real issue is just coaching, right? Like a player like Joshua Xerxes now, like you see on Twitter, everyone talking shit about him. I just get so upset because I'm just like, this was a phenomenal player who, if you watch any of Bologna last year or the year before, the kid was outstanding. He stood out like a sore thumb. And he comes here and he just looks devoid of anything at United. And it happened like that. You know, it happened after 2 games. He just looked like he's not himself. Someone like Rashford just looked completely out of it. And he's looked out of it for a while. Garnacho looks like he's not even a football player. It looks like he's getting first downs. Like he looks like a fullback in NFL. You have like, you know, just it's weird. Like it's just very, very weird, and it's just down to coaching to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's a very simple equation. I'm sure I've said this on one of our pods before, maybe even this one. When multiple players in the lineup look terrible, it's not the players, it's the coach. The structure and the system he has them in is not allowing them to express themselves properly. You know, like how can you have how can you trust Casemiro with your build up in 2024? Like, bro. I will give him credit for recognizing that Casemiro was having a bad game and removing him at halftime. But honestly, we could have all predicted this game from Casemiro. We've seen it before. Like maybe this is the worst of them though, because shit.
I'm gonna say something that's very childish and petulant, and like just didn't make any sense. But anytime I see a team line up with 2 goalkeepers on it, I get disgusted. Like, why do you have 2 goalkeepers on your fucking bench? I know it's Pendiatic. I know it has nothing to do with anything. But I saw 2 goalkeepers and I was like, oh, we lost. I know it has nothing to do with anything. But it's just like, it's like seeing a center back wearing number 10 or a fullback wearing number 7 or number 11. It's not what you're supposed to do. That's not how the game is played.
Like this man has frustrated you to the point of focusing on pedantics instead of the problems at your club, because your problems have been there for so long and they're apparently never going away, which again, I can't say I'm not enjoying it, but it's absurd because it feels like it could all be so simple. But let's talk a little bit about the team that defeated you, Arne Slot's Liverpool. What did you make of them?
He just took what Klopp left and took it just kept it pushing. That's all he had to do. Is just didn't rock the boat too much. Liverpool made 2 signings. They signed the goalkeeper from Valencia, but he doesn't join until next year. Chiesa's not there. It's literally the same exact team they've had. Slot has just basically just given him a little bit more confidence. He hasn't rocked the boat because we know what it's like when you have a legendary coach who leaves, right? It can either go left, it can go right. And both of our clubs experienced that. Post-Wenger, post-Ferguson. We've seen where that goes. He hasn't really rocked the boat too much. He hasn't really pissed the players off too much. He hasn't really changed. He's changed a little bit of things here and there. But for the most part, it's the same Liverpool we've seen. You know, these players love the coach, clearly. And they've made a good job hiring a manager. They had a good succession plan. And that's really all it is how do you find continuation? And that's what Liverpool have done very well. We haven't done that shit since 2013 at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you miss on the first one, you by definition, you can't do that shit anymore. You got, like allowing Sir Alex to have a choice in who was going to replace him was one of the dumbest things ever. It's like, bro, he's done a lot of things in his career, but what he hasn't done is replace himself. So why would you trust him with that responsibility? So that was the first mistake, and here we are.
Why would you even listen to a man who fought over the Rock of Gibraltar? But that's neither here.
That's neither here nor there. But
what do you think about Liverpool?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think he's essentially not changed a whole lot. I think that the main difference I've noticed is that they're a little more patient in their buildup. They're not as direct as they used to be. I think with Klopp, things just, there was the era of rock and roll ball, and he tried to modulate that by buying Thiago at some point. With Slut, they've started instantly by, I think in some ways I look at their buildup and it reminds me a bit of De Zerbi at Brighton or elsewhere, really, like that, bringing a lot of folks back to create space in behind to run into and create these one-on-one opportunities or counter-attacking opportunities. And that's not dissimilar from what Klopp did at times, but they were just more direct with possession. So the games were a little more back and forth. This Liverpool seems a little more patient, but the way in which they demolished United didn't look any different from what we've seen over the past couple seasons. So again, he hasn't rocked the boat too much, and credit to him. I think he's had a really great start to his career there. And I think the most impressive thing between the window and what they've done so far this season, because I would say, yes, they're top of the table alongside City, is it? But I feel like they've had an easier schedule, I'd say.
For sure.
Compared to my club. But I'm very impressed by the fact that Liverpool went for a player. They pushed the boat out for Zubimendi to be their sixth in their system. It was going to be the perfect fit. They thought they could make it happen. It didn't happen. We all made fun of them. Great, whatever. Zubimendi is still at Real Sociedad. The Liverpool panic and go buy an inferior option that can't do the job to the level they need him to do the job in this new coaching system? No. They stayed put. They gave one of the talented players on their team an opportunity to get into the team. Ryan Gravenberch is a guy that didn't get a lot of minutes under Klopp. Didn't get a lot of minutes at Bayern Munich either. But from his time in Holland, everyone thought he was really talented.
He is.
And he is. And he's being played in sort of a modern six role. He's not just sitting there. He's winning the ball high up the pitch. He was the one that intercepted Casemiro's pass in the build-up to the first goal. He had a lot of great moments in this game. And honestly, I didn't think he had the profile or the demeanor to play in that position. But the way he's interpreting it, it's working really well for them so far this season. And I'm just really impressed that they didn't panic and go buy some shitty version of Zubimendi just to say that they did something.
Do you know what it is? It goes down to coaching and structure. Right. You actually have adults in the room that make good decisions, because we panicked and said, we're going to go get Casemiro. For fucking what?
I mean, people were happy, man.
Of course they were.
People love signings.
They do. It's interesting because fans love that fanfare of just, that dopamine rush of getting a new signing. And it's just like, does it fit? Does it make sense? I saw some things over the summer where people were just like, oh, we should have stuck to what's it called? We should have kept Varane. I was like, well, now Varane's out for the rest of the season.
At Como, yeah. So they just signed him. They just signed him to rehab him.
Yeah, I mean,
like y'all did.
Ain't a bad place to rehab is Lake Como. I'll tell you that much.
My nigga knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the biggest thing too is just sometimes some of these coaches just cowards, man. And like, I understand it's a results-based business. Like, I get it. Like, your job's on the line every single week. I get it. But it's just sometimes when I look at some of the players that these coaches just don't take risks on, it's just the talent is right there in-house. Like, look at Ryan Gravenberch. They didn't panic, like you said, and they kept him. And now look how good he looks in this team. So when I look at United, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, speaking of talent, Toby Collier came on for Casemiro. This was not the game for him to make an impression.
No.
But you've seen him in preseason. I saw him a little bit because y'all played against Arsenal, and he got some minutes in that game, and I was actually impressed in a lot of ways. And this may seem very lazy and reductive. I looked at him and I kind of saw like a newer, younger McTominay Mark II. Is that the kind of player we're looking at?
So he can play a little bit deeper in the midfield. I just still don't think Toby Collier is, again, and this is going to sound super nerdy. I'm one of the United fans who understand our academy system. We have probably some of the most stupendous talents coming through. We have a kid named Jace Fitzgerald who should be up next in midfield. Like, Jace is one of those kids that, like, where if he doesn't make it at United, something went wrong type of talent. That's what he is. And he's more so like that deep line playmaker the United fans have been crying out for, like of the Carrick ilk, right? Toby Collier is one of those guys who works hard. Like, that's what he is to me. Like, he's a hard worker. I just don't think he's of that ilk, but he'll be a good squad player. He's more so of that, like, and this is disrespectful as shit. Like a Nicky Butt, sort of.
That's a compliment, because Nicky Butt was very prominent in a lot of really important games throughout his career, so I'm not mad at that.
Yeah. And he's not a McTominay because McTominay wants to be up forward, right? And McTominay, no offense to him, he shied away from the ball. He didn't want to be in build-up. Toby will get stuck in. He would like to get in the build-up, but I just don't think Toby is all that ilk. But he, it's academy kid. And again, like I said, everyone, everyone's development is not the same. Everyone's development is very different. One thing that did piss me off today, though, was Ahmad not starting, but I did understand it, but I still didn't get it at the same time. But
what was understandable about it?
I mean, he wanted to play on the transition, and Garnacho's great at transition. I already knew he's a coward. In big games, he wants to play a counterattacking, especially at home. That's what he likes to do. And Garnacho is that sort of like counterattacking person, but
I guess Erik is a weirdo.
Yeah.
You guys got Ugarte. That deal was confirmed before the end of the window. He obviously will have more legs than Casemiro because literally anybody has more legs than Casemiro at this point. I guess I'll ask the question this way. What do you envision United's starting midfield would be like in May at the end of the season? Like ignoring potential injuries, who do you think will be the composition of your midfield by the end of the season?
Ideally will be Ugarte, Kobe box to box, and Bruno in that like 8-10-ish role.
Does that have enough legs, you think?
No, but it's
Ugarte is about to die. You go run, die, my brother.
my thing is, and I'm gonna say this, and I know a lot of their fans are gonna get mad at me. Bruno should have been moved on. And I don't care if you guys are upset what I'm about to say. I don't give a damn. Bruno should have been moved on last year and especially this year. Bruno today was just there was a chance Bruno had. He could have passed it in. He decided to blast the ball. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Hilarious.
The thing about Bruno that just makes me so upset about him, because he's a good player when he wants to be, but it's not worth the juice sometimes, man. It's not worth the squeeze when he starts to go in his erraticness. It's not worth it at all, man. Like he has so much head loss, and I get it. United fans, they see him as a new age Bobby Robson, whatever. He's never really. This is gonna piss off a lot of United fans. He's never ever moved me as a player. He's never ever like I've seen him do things right where it's just like, oh wow, that's impressive, but it's never ever been like that aura of like Cantona where I'm just like, wow, like I'm moved type of thing. It doesn't do anything for me. And maybe I'm just sound like an old man, but a lot of these newer players don't move me like that, man. And Bruno doesn't, whatever.
Like Bruno is a really, really creative and talented player. And I think because of his it's a thing about his personality, like he's a good dude. He's captain material in some ways, but it's very clear to me that, like you said, he suffers head loss very often. And that can't be the guy the locker room is looking to. I'm sorry. Like that's not a leadership quality, and the fact that he's still there making the most money or somewhere around that, it's not good for the culture there. Like there needs to be a clear out of certain people, and he's not even of the right age. If you're trying to rebuild, Bruno is 29, turning 30, correct?
Yeah. He
should have been gone. Like y'all could have got some good money for him. And honestly, just even that, I do wonder what kind of player he would have turned into if that move from Sporting was to a club with actual structure. Instead of United, where there have been periods where, I remember when he first got there, he basically carried y'all to whatever y'all did that season because he was scoring and assisting everything. But if he was in a system where he didn't have to do so much and he had to, say he played for Pep, even though I know, well, Pep has room for Kevin De Bruyne. So he would have room for Bruno as well. But I do wonder what kind of player he would have evolved into over time if he had been put into a proper structure instead of just, hey, Bruno, save us, and he's just developed so many bad habits. I don't really expect him to ever change. When these games get tough, I expect him to do shit like shoot when he shouldn't shoot, put in a bad tackle to miss the next weekend and shit. Like, I don't understand how someone could watch Bruno and think he's captain material in 2024. Like, Like,
Again, the standards at United are so low with the fan base, and that's the thing. Is just I feel there's a lot of younger fans who haven't seen United, and you have seen that.
right.
And maybe I'm just the old head who's seen too much football in my life, but I look at some of the players that they love and the players that they think, and I'm just like, that's not it, bro.
Uh,
That's not up to standard.
Honestly, to keep it a beam with you motherfuckers, like there's like 3, 4 players worth a damn at United right now. Like under this current manager.
Name them.
Another manager might come in and get some guys up to their proper levels or develop them a little bit more, but I don't. That I think that's the worst thing about the players at United lately. The only player I can point to and say has maybe gotten better is Garnacho. Everyone else has gotten worse, or they've been injured all the time. And
Especially under this manager.
yes, and that's a reflection on the manager as well as the medical staff and all that. But at the end of the day, players like Kevin De Bruyne let managers like Pep Guardiola kiss them in public because this guy has made them better. He has put something in my pocket. He has made my life better. He's made me a better version of myself as a player, as a person. I don't get the sense that Erik Ten Hag is doing that because he lacks charisma to really reach people like that on that level. And look at Rashford, man. He's unrecognizable. He was never. I don't think he ever fully developed into what he was supposed to be before all this bullshit happened because the environment has just been shit for most of his career. But he's been bad for so long, man. Like this is going on. I mean, I read that he hadn't had a shot on goal this season or some shit like that.
No.
And he's not a legit one because he did
Not
score
a shot, period.
Against
not
Brighton.
A shot. Not a shot, period.
Yeah, I guess the one against Brighton doesn't count because it was offside. No. But that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
Like, if Rashford's going to do something, he's going to dribble somebody and shoot.
I mean, I look at it like this, right? There's so many young, talented players like in the world that United don't have to like suffer under, like, just do a complete blood call. I mean, for me next year, for example, right? Angel Gomez is out of contract. Under a better manager, I'll bring Angel Gomez home on a free. I'm sorry, I would. I generally would. That's a talented player. And back to the Bruno thing. United should be in a 4-3-3, but because of Bruno, they play a 4-2-3-1 because he just is a head loss person who doesn't really have positional discipline. So you have to, like, when you're looking at your midfield looking like a sieve, Bruno's up there just doing whatever he wants to do. But
yeah, he can't.
Watching the game today was just, I wasn't even upset. I was just more so just disgusted. It was more so just like, you're just looking at it just like, this is pathetic. It was more so just like, there's no fight within the players. Right. The coach doesn't exude any confidence. The fans are sick and tired of this shit. It's so, and like, even when you look up, right, at the brain trust, when you see like Omar Barada, you saw Jason Wilcox, you saw David Brailsford, you saw Jim Ratcliffe, I saw all those guys, all 5 of them up there. They were pissed. Like, there's an image of Jim Ratcliffe, like, damn, I could have spent £1 billion on something else. He was looking like, yo, I wasted my goddamn money and my time. It's like, I should just.
Oh, man. Like, if you want to be happy, don't buy a football team.
No. And that's why they don't give us $1 billion and £1 billion, because they know that we probably not trying to buy Arsenal United our damn selves. This is why we don't have money.
I wouldn't buy Arsenal, man. Arsenal fans are fucking stupid. I love my brother, but we're all fucking stupid. I'm not trying to do that.
That's why I wouldn't buy United, because I would be the worst owner. I'll tell everybody to suck my dick. And I'll just be the worst owner. It'd be an awful just owner. Like, yo, I don't like you guys. But jokes aside, man, and profanity aside, I understand United's fans' frustrations, because you're in a social media era where your rivals are being good and, like, everyone is poking fun at you. Nobody wants to be made fun of. But like Tyler the Creator said, online bullying is not real. Log off. Go do something with your life.
Like, for real, it's not that big a deal, man. Like, your life will get so much better when you spend less time on the internet, okay? Like, being on the internet while your football team sucks is the stupidest shit you can do to yourself. Like,
you're a masochist.
You're not going to be happy. You're not going to see shit that's going to make you happy, okay? Like, when my team drew a game, I'm not watching Match of the Day. I don't give a fuck. I'm not watching nothing. I'm not reading no news. So I can't imagine losing the way United lost to Liverpool today at home and interacting with football and the internet. Like, make good decisions, people, okay? Like, it's the most important of all the unimportant things, okay? Drink your water, go outside, touch grass, talk to pretty people, leave the uglies alone, Okay, that's handsome-ist, I think. My bad, people. Be nice to the ugly people. Okay, it's what's on the inside that matters. Okay, that shit. But yeah, it'll probably get worse before it gets better, but it'll get better at some point because it's been bad for so long.
Yeah, I mean, and if it's really, really that bad, Key has an album called 777, and he has some good songs on there. Like he says, basically saying that when it gets bad, it'll always get better. So, I think that because I'm older, I just don't care. Like after a while, like I think that these losses, like I just after 90 minutes, I'm like, cool, okay. So what are we looking forward to in a week?
I think as a football fan, you reach enlightenment during the period of mediocrity when you stop watching the games entirely. Like when you get to that point, I know you can't because you have a job to do. But if you literally told the rest of the group that I'm not doing this shit no more because United is fucking horrible, I think we'd understand because I've been there.
Yeah.
So
long. But I also have CTE, so there's also that.
Hey man, you should love Bruno then because y'all both got it.
I mean, I'm a real masochist. I'm watching NFL on Thursday because my team is back. So, I'm a sick man.
A distraction. There you go. Something else that's not.
Hey, man, that's not even a distraction. That's my real team. I'm a big Ravens guy.
Look, man, the cognitive dissonance has kicked in hard. He said, that's my real team. Okay.
Hey, listen, I'm from Baltimore, okay? I support my local. I support my local, baby.
Hey, man, you said it, not me.
I support my local. Nah, but seriously, I think I get the frustrations all sides, man. And I saw someone tweet today, this United fan, how basically he was just like, he's like, I was very delusional about Erik ten Hag for a while. He goes, but today was the first time I can genuinely say that like I've given up on him. It's like I've quit. It goes, today is like my final day. It's like that's my last straw with him. And I think a good 99% of the fan base is completely out on him. There is that outlying 1%, but I think he's ran his course with the fan base at this point. I think it's completely over. Like his rope is done with them.
I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at your team and you can't tell exactly what you're trying to do, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, and Casemiro's wife just posted a picture of all of his trophies on Instagram.
Well, that's what a wife is supposed to do. Good woman. I love her for that. Good job.
She literally just posted an Instagram story all the trophies. Like you see the Champions Leagues and everything else. I'm just like, wow.
But as I said in The Wire, those were the old days. Today, your husband was shit. But good job being a wife, my friend. Good job.
Hey, listen, that's what you need is a good woman to support you.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, Andre Onana, by the way, before we head out, Andre Onana, his positioning for some of the goals was just absurd. But
listen, man, I don't have any smoke for Andre. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes had to happen before those shots got taken. So positioning, good or bad, I don't know that a goalkeeper was saving you today. Like,
no.
I mean, what do you want? David De Gea back? He could make some saves. His position was great.
Please, I do not need that back in my life.
There you go. Let's leave that black man alone then. Let's leave him alone.
Yes, let's leave him alone.
Ten Hag, that's enough.
Yeah. You got anything else you want to add, man? Because I'm
no. Thanks for having me on the Manchester United pod. I know it's not the most fun to do this with an enemy, but I think.
Listen,
you
family.
I was in two right.
Your family, no matter who you support.
All right, fine. Fuck it. Yeah.
I
promise I won't be here too often.
I got a dad who supports Liverpool. Okay.
Like this is why you're suffering now. This is why you went against your dad.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Hopefully my bastard kid doesn't do that. Ladies and gentlemen, for myself, Tosin, and Deen, we're out. Everyone take it easy. Peace.
Peace.
Take your shirt off. Take your shirt off.